That was it. So, I mean, now, you could think of that in a very self-centered way. And I don't know how, I actually don't know how he meant it. It doesn't even matter. But the fact is, this is what we need to get in our mind. I'm not going to do anything that's not important. There's not enough time. So that means that I need to look at what's in front of me today and do those important things. And of course, if our first focus is on unity, on togetherness, then everything's going to be in alignment. We're not going to do, we're not going to do bad important things. So, but it also gives us that ability to say no. When someone asks, hey, be kind, but say no. Because if it gets in the way of doing something that's more important, in the NA literature, it's like really clear. They lay this whole thing out that some of us have talents in this area and some of us have talents in another area. And so what we need to do is give our most service in the areas where we have the most talent. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't want to get better in the areas where we may have less talent. But again, thinking about time and how much we've got to give, let's focus on where we're good, right? And again, if we decide we want to improve at something, that could be a goal. But to give our focus on the places where we can do the most, to be the most effective, and say no to the other things. And yes, you know what's going to happen? Some people are going to be upset with you because you're not going to go along with their agenda, but it's okay. Just don't be mad at them. Right? Just don't get mad. There's no reason to get mad. Because if we get mad, now we're just participating in that, and so we suffer. We don't have to suffer. We just have to say no. So just remember the story that it's when my kids used to come to me and ask me for things, and I would say no, and they get mad, I would say, if I didn't get mad, I would say this. I would say, you can be mad at me as long as you want, but I'm not going to be mad at you. And the answer is still no. Now, if you say that to an adult, they may take offense for a number of reasons, right? But it's the idea. It's the idea to say in my heart, in my mind, I want to say, go ahead, be upset, but I'm not going to. See, it's so easy to get on board with the anger. It's so easy to get on board with the conflict. I say, no, I don't want to cooperate with that anymore. I don't want to cooperate with the conflict. Let me just let it go right now. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to give in. I'm not going to go along to get along. If it doesn't make sense in line with my goals, my principles, what I think is most important, I can say no to it. Then I want to see the value of each person, whether I'm cooperating with their agenda or not. I want to see the value of each person that comes in front of me. And the value of each person is equal to the value of every other person. This is a principle that's very easy to accept intellectually and very difficult to deal with in life. But to see each person as having equal value. And then not just that, but every situation that occurs. Even in the midst of a crisis, even in the midst of catastrophe, to be able to say, there's a value in this situation that can lead me to the good that I'm looking for. And look, it's a cliche, but the phoenix rising from the ashes. I'm not talking about just forestalling a catastrophe. I'm talking about in the midst of a calamity. To know that we can rise up from this seeming destruction. And this is another one of the little stories about Thomas Edison. In East Orange, New Jersey, he builds this huge complex where all his factory and everything's running there, and one day the stuff catches on fire, and the fire is just like a wildfire. It goes through the whole place. His son's running around the place looking for his dad. He sees him up on the hill, overlooking the whole thing. He runs up there, and Thomas Edison says to his son, go fetch your mother. She's got to see this. All of our mistakes are being burned up. Now, that's the attitude that we're looking for here. Now, it's an anecdotal story. Who knows if it ever really... The son says it happened, and the place did burn down. But this is the attitude. This is the attitude to have, that in the midst of a crisis to say, now, all these mistakes are gone that we made that got us here. They're gone. Whatever we did that got us here is gone, and we can start again. We can start anew. This is destiny. There is a destiny. First of all, there's the overarching destiny that in reality is that eventually, no matter how long we fight it, no matter what we do, we're going to return to God. And I don't mean that our body's going to die. I mean actually return to the kingdom of heaven, to the kingdom of oneness. This is our ultimate destiny. And it is going to happen. Even though sometimes we doubt it, even though sometimes we fight against it, it is going to happen. But then we have a destiny also in our life, in the life that we're living right now. And that destiny is not like a certain thing or a certain group of things are going to happen, but rather that destiny is the potential that is within us. So to say, I want to focus on that, the destiny in me is to realize the potential, that, or as much of the potential as I can, that this is destiny. To say, I want to work in life for the good, and I want to be an example to others. Leaders inspire others to the extent that they are willing to reach out into the future, to the extent that they can embrace vision. So if you have a vision about what your life can be like, believe in it. Reach into the future. Stay grounded in the moment, but reach into the future. And what happens is we become like magnets. We draw ourselves into this potential. We stand firmly in the moment, reach out to the future, and we become agents of change for good. And we draw people of like mind to us. And finally, to be willing to teach and to be willing to learn. Because this is going on all the time. That actually every day, everything that we do, we are teaching a lesson. We are teaching the lesson of who we are right now in this moment. And if we keep remembering, we keep identifying with Spirit that we know that ultimately that's what we are, then that's what we're teaching, and we're actually teaching peace. But when we forget and we think we're a body and we think we're, a personality, that's what we teach. But that's also another opportunity for another lesson. But to realize that that's what's going on all of the time, that we are teaching each other what we are. So we can make some decisions about what it is that we want to put forward. Well, also, we are learning. We're continually learning. And when we really get down to it, we start to understand that what we are teaching, what we are showing into the world is really what we need to learn. Positive or negative. When we are putting forth that positive thing, we know that that's our greatest lesson that we need to learn. And we are putting forth the negative, it's what we need to learn not to do. So both of these things, our actions are both us teaching and us learning. So to use this tremendous power of will for the good of all, we have to get involved in change. Because the world that we see now, if we're suffering in the world, it needs change. I mean, it's really simple. So if we're going through life and we're having more suffering than joy, or even more than we want, then that calls for change. So we become active, and I'm just going to say we become active in rebuilding the political landscape, because that's a big symbol for how the world is working for us. To become active, to start to work with a new economic model, one that is based on what's best for all of us. And this is not to say to go to socialism, because it doesn't work. But what's best for all of us is to allow and to encourage the talents and abilities that are in each one to come forth. And some people are going to have more and some people are going to have less when you look at the material things. But the idea is to allow everyone their destiny, to allow everyone to meet their potential, to encourage each person to allow the good that is in them to grow into something greater. This is the mindset, to say, I want to weave a new social fabric with the common welfare in mind, to reinvent the nature of education. These are the building blocks of the life we seek, and we seek it not just for ourselves, but for the good of all. To immerse ourselves, to see this, just visualize this, to immerse yourself in the river of life, to flow in the direction of your talents, to not fight the currents of your temporary uniqueness. And in this river, the gifts of individuals come together to join with the greater gifts of oneness, and every living thing benefits. Teach will to learn will. Practice willing your life, and you will live the life you will.